So Don, as you play the mental gymnastics game with your team after last night, how good a thing is it to have a back-to-back here and be able to move right on?
It's nice to move right into the next game. The guys have every reason to be excited about playing as long as they compete. I mentioned that tonight. The psyche is a big part of things, and the psyche is where we slipped last night. We didn't slip in compete or preparation, and we need to keep doing that and reflect that this we can't allow this to now take a further hit on the psyche. You lose a game in disappointment. It can't linger into today. And I thought the skate today was real good, and there's every reason to be excited about playing another game. These guys love playing hockey, and um, they've had enough rest to get into it. So
There's going to be so much thought and talk about the last 8 minutes. How much do you have to pull them back to all the things that happened in the first 54?
I don't. I think they're very in tune with what they did the first 54. They came out with a lot of great intent. Fell down, as we know, and had to come back and fight back, and they did. So they know they can do things like this. I just think, we are still a young, energized, up and coming team. We lost somewhere in there the fact that we're still a young and should be energized and should be confident that we're an up and coming team. Um, we haven't arrived, and so when you start thinking about that expectations, it becomes pressure, and it pulls you out of the fact that you are still young and should be energized and have every right to play fearless because you're going to gain experience. But if you, like I've said many times, if you back off and play conservative, you are not going to get better. And we're still in extremely high developmental phase of an organization where we need to get better because the capacity is enormous to get better. And so when you back off like we did last night, and the psyche changes to try to be conservative and maybe protect a lead 5-3 with 6 minutes left, you don't get any better. You can feel terrible, and so I think that occurring and happening has forced us to reflect and say, hey, we're still a young and up and coming team, and should play with energy and passion, and it can't be zapped with the expectations that we've arrived somewhere. And this is a downer because we're supposed to be so great. We're not. We're not there at that point. We got to just keep grinding and getting better, and we've got every reason to play with that passion. So if we get back to that, we'll keep progressing.
What are Dylan's qualities that make him a leader in your eyes?
Compete, care for his team and teammates. Those Anything else after that is great, but those two are drivers.
Are those the things, I know you mentioned him as a leader on that young line, are those some of the things you think that JJ and Jack and other young guys kind of absorb from him?
They're absorbing it. Yeah, they're those two guys are, don't want to diminish those two guys at all. They're special in their own way, but Dylan is definitely shows them what I just mentioned. He is ultra competitive.
You got three lines really going here. What do you do about the middle style?
Well, we're 5-on-5, so let's separate two. I've spoken to the coaches about this. We need to separate two things here. 5-on-5, we need to do what we can to help them be better and more effective. But the other part is power play. And Middlestead today has more points in the power play than Alex Tuck and Jeff Skinner. And he's in the top 15 in the league for number of minutes on the power play in production. So we don't have a problem with Middlestead there. He's actually more toward the elite category as far as numbers right now as they stand. So the problem, we can't say, okay, we have a problem, and then all of a sudden it takes him out of how effective that next unit is in the power play with he and Victor both. Our power play is going well. It's ranked high in the NHL, and a big part of it, obviously, with the production of Middlestead. I think it's Darlene Thompson might have one more point than Middlestead on the power play, and that's Middlestead. And so that second unit or next unit with Olofsson and Middlestead is a huge impact in games. Now, it hasn't been the last two games because teams, have taken fewer penalties, so they haven't been able to get that feel for things. but clearly, not to diminish, we are working and focused on helping them 5-on-5. The other positive is they're standing out quite significantly because we have 3 lines that are going, which is really good. So that standard has been raised. Olafson and Middlestead played together a lot last year. The last 10 games or so, going back on that against teams like Pittsburgh and Tampa, Carolina even, their numbers were good. And they're not there right now. So it's not like these guys are not capable. We just have to figure out how to help them, best help them, and that's ongoing until it happens.
You had extra forwards at times throughout the year, and you've rotated. But I mean, now you have 2 extras, and Peyton sat out a few. I mean, do you not want him to sit for too long? I know he played the other night, but he's
Yeah. I mean, you don't want anybody to sit too long, but in Peyton's, I think I'd be more worried about an older guy sitting for too long than a younger guy, honestly, because they're absorbing so much. I mean, even the practice today, Peyton's in practice, he's fully engaged, flying around, so the psyche's good. He's competing hard, and he's going against, on a rush, Matthias Samuelsson and Rasmus Dahlin, and the next rush, Joka Haru and Owen, like elite players. And the pace of, players tracking him down, that's what he needs. He need that. So as a young guy, he's still getting better every day. He got better today more so than other guys by virtue of that. So I worry less about a younger guy not getting the minutes. I think too many minutes, you're in it and you just need to just step back. I mean, you see lots of growth with players. Cousins is a perfect example in the offseason because they can actually step back and reflect, and it helps them grow. And to be able to do that during the regular season is actual luxury. And I speak from being around many dozens of players that are NHL players that I've had as a coach around the league. This does not hurt a young player. It would hurt an older player much more. It'd be more painful for an older player. But for a younger player, there's so much stimulus. Every stimulus that comes in is they need to take in. It's their first go around. So Krebsy is fully engaged in that. So I'm really comfortable with where he's at, and when he gets in, sure, Sooners could be better, but not necessarily. I'm not too worried about that today at all.
You're not worried about it clearly now from what you say. Is there a point of diminishing return though, or
we will watch that, absolutely, Mike. You'll watch for that, but again, he is. You see the energy he went out on the ice with practice today. So usually you think of a guy scratched. What do you think of? He's hanging his head and he's not finding ways to get better. He's hungry about getting better, and getting better. If you walk in this building, that starts the opportunity to get better. What you take home in your psyche is an opportunity to get better. So he's fully engaged in that, and he's a lot of potential. And so I think he's still chipping away at that. Will there be a point of diminishing returns if he stays out of the lineup? Sure, there will be at some point. But I don't feel a worry or concern for that right now.
You examine Tyson. I mean, obviously he comes in as an established player, but what's allowed him to acclimate so almost seamlessly? He's stood up probably every game so far.
Situational awareness, sense of objective. He has more games played in the NHL, even though he's 24 years old, than Alex Tuck. So that shows you how much experience he has compared to our group at only the age of 24. He has walked the walk of Peyton Krebs. He was a 10th pick overall. He worked his way down. They gave him top 6 role in Colorado, and he worked his way down to 4th line, then a trade, then on waivers. And so he's got perspective and career experience, and he's only 24. He brings all of that in here with, like I said, a sense of objective. When he goes on the ice, he's got 18 shifts. He knows he can't score 18 goals. What's the job that needs to be done? And you put Okposo and Gergensons on their wing, and they know they're not going to score 18 goals in 18 shifts. So what's the play to be made? Might be as simple as putting it behind a defenseman and making them work, and eventually, like last night, here's a chance to score. I can discern between that and what job I need to get done. I'll try to score the goal now. And he's not giving up 3 chances against or taking risks to score goals. That is situational awareness. That's maturity as a player. That's something that as a young team, you're going through. And he brings that perspective in the locker room, and it fills out a line that now can lead an example in that regard between the three of those players, Gergensons, Jost, and Okposo. So an awful lot. He brings an awful lot.
When you look at what Walt Power's been doing lately, his advanced numbers are through the roof. What do you make of how he's grown so far this season?
He's a very intuitive, highly intelligent player, and he learns at a rapid rate. So this is all a byproduct. Performance like last night is a byproduct of those things. And then you add to that, he's an athlete. He's has the benefit of size and reach, and he uses those. Lots of guys have size and reach, but he knows how to use them effectively. So he's just an advanced player for his age. I mean, obviously, that's why he was the #1 pick overall, and rightly so. But the speed that he learns at is most impressive.